Soft-boiled eggs are easy to overcook, so I'm making a ceramic cooking pot that handles the timing for me. The challenge is getting the volume and the drip hole exactly right. I'm using a kilo of clay for the base, a kilo of clay for the egg cooker, and 350 grams for the lid. I start with the base and I center the first kilo of clay. I flatten the clay and then push down into the clay, leaving about 3/4 centimeter in the base. I open out and start to form the walls. So the idea for this soft-boiled egg maker comes from a version I've seen in Malaysia, where soft-boiled eggs are really popular for breakfast. So the base needs to hold the water after it drains through the egg cooker. As I pull up the walls, I leave extra clay in the rim. And I start to form a gallery. The base of the egg cooker is going to fit into this gallery. And then I straighten the walls and measure the gallery. I wire through and set aside. Now for the egg cooker. I take another kilo of clay. The shape of the cooker is very similar to the shape of the base. However, it is a little narrower. It needs to fit a couple of eggs and 4 cups or a litre of water. After centering and flattening the clay, I push down and open out. I bring up the walls. The walls will be a little taller than the walls of the base. And once again, I form a gallery. So a gallery in a pot refers to a recessed rim. At times I'm pretty sure I've referred to it as a galley, which more correctly is the kitchen in a boat or aircraft. Anyway, gallery made, I trim and wire through. And I carefully measure. I'm going to make a recessed lid to fit. So I take the 350 grams of clay and center. Once centered, I flatten the clay to a little under the dimension of the gallery. And I push down into the rim to start to create the flange. Now I create a channel just inside the flange. So I'm making this upside down and it does get a little complicated. Then I push down into the center of the lid, creating another flange. You'll have to believe me at this stage that this creates a really neat recessed handle. Now I'm going to push down into this flange and I push all the way through the lid. This is effectively separating the handle from the rest of the lid. But no need to worry, I'm going to join the handle and the lid back up. I do this by joining the 2 flanges at the top. And I make sure that they are properly joined by squeezing the tops together. Now I don't get to see the handle until it's leather hard and I'm ready to trim. So I set aside all the pieces to dry to leather hard. It's time to trim and I start with the base. Trimming the base is super simple. I center and then trim across the base. And of course I smooth across the base and around the foot. And then I move on to the egg cooker. And the egg cooker is very similar, except I have a much more defined foot. And it's this foot that needs to fit into the gallery on the base. Once again, I make sure that all the surfaces are smoothed. And then I add the pinhole. I use my pin tool. I'm really guessing here as to the size of the hole after shrinkage. And then I cut the lid and flip it over. The top of the lid looks okay and the handle's still in place. So I just trim around the handle to tidy it up. I smooth and then I'll just tidy around the edge of the lid. This recessed handle has been a little leap of faith and I'm really happy it's worked. And I check that all of my pieces fit together before drying fully. And then I bisque fire before glazing. I'm keeping it really simple by using my basic white glossy glaze. It's a super functional glaze and it fits really well with most of my other glazes. So I dip the lid, the body and the egg cooker. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our latest videos. And then I wipe the bases. I've decided to fire these pieces separately this time, so I don't need to wipe off the galleries and flanges, but I do need to make sure the drainage hole is cleared, and then it's into a glaze firing. And I'm pleased to see that the pieces fit together. The recess handle works, but the channel is a little small for my fingers. Next time I'll make that channel a little wider for my fingers to grip the handle. Now I'm just hoping that that dripping hole is the right size for my egg to cook properly. And I can't wait to see if I've got the volume right. So I add 2 eggs and then fill the container with 4 cups of just boiled water. And I wait for the water to drip through the egg cooker. After 8 minutes I check the eggs and the water has dripped through. So I take out the eggs and they're ready. One traditional way to have them is with soy sauce, white pepper and toast soldiers. And with white milky tea, that is a perfect brunch. For more interesting functional items you can make on the wheel, why not check out my covered straining teacup. And as always, happy potting.